Are you thinking about a career in visual merchandising or perhaps studying fashion, personal styling, or just generally fashion styling? I'm joined here today by visual artist Alex to discuss the diverse range of skills that she has and that is required and her achievements in the fashion visual presentation arena. Hi, I'm Kerry, and my goal is to get you started on your fashion career and also to shed some light on the options that are available to you. Have a listen, and to Lex and I, we're going to be discussing the course that she took and the route her career has taken. You'll find out what being a visual merchandiser in the fashion industry is like and how Lex has gone about it and how she has incorporated that with other areas of her interest as a visual artist. Okay, hi everyone. I'm here today joined with Lex, and she is a visual artist, and so it's really exciting to hear from her today. And so Lex, start us off with like your career so far, the courses you've done, all of that good stuff.
Hi guys. So my name is Lex, but a lot of other people outside of like the industry know me as like Alex or Alexandria. I actually began my journey as a fashion stylist or a visual artist actually attending the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco.
Okay.
I decided to stay at the campus in San Francisco only due to like my own personal like financial reasons, but I did have the opportunity to go out to LA or the other Southern California Fashion Institute campuses, which is, you know, a great idea for those who want to actually look into going into more of like a fashion centered like
Yeah,
area.
yeah,
So
because LA's a bit more that way and orientated, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. And so I personally wanted to go into the Fashion Institute um, with the mindset of becoming a fashion stylist.
Okay.
But with the major that I had, I actually I did visual communications, which was my major. I have an AA in that,
Okay.
and throughout that course was actually an eye opener for me. So like I said, I wanted to go in as a fashion stylist in general,
Yeah.
but
So that
like
was your
with
goal.
yeah, so fashion styling was within visual communications,
Yeah,
but
that makes
like
sense. It's
yeah,
part of
but
it.
without or throughout my courses, I actually learned like many other things within the visual communications world.
Yeah,
So with
yeah.
that, I learned obviously
hmm
merchandising, graphic design,
Yeah.
PR work, marketing,
So
what
like a
else?
whole breadth of like things within like that kind of part of fashion, that kind of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
communication
And
part.
like the one that really stuck out to me the most was set design. I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
think I didn't think that it would be a part of my course
Mm.
because I just wasn't really I was a little naive to like certain things at the time, but like as I kept going and going and going, like visual communications is obviously like within each and every one of those things.
Yeah,
So even
yeah.
within being a fashion stylist, you need to obviously market yourself. You always have to
Mm.
like, know like what's good PR for you. And even like with like being a fashion stylist, knowing set design is also good for you. And so then that's when I started becoming a little more like, I guess, I don't want to say confused with what I want to do. I knew I wanted to stick with it, but what
Yeah.
do I want to do and what do I want to like really, um, I guess, solidify within my career?
So you kind of got a taste for all these different things, and you were kind of a bit torn between which thing that you really wanted to specialize within, like when you left the course. You were a
Yeah.
bit like, oh, I want to do a bit of everything.
Yeah, basically. And that's why I don't really want to call myself a fashion stylist, like
Mm, that makes
alone,
sense. Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
I guess you can say I'm a jack of all trades.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, that makes sense. And I also think that actually, if you had done fashion design, for instance,
like I did, I kind of came out feeling a bit of a jack of all trades.
That's one thing I didn't get into.
Yeah, well, because within fashion design, like a course that you get do is like that within a fashion design course, there's like so many different elements, and you end up coming out with like a little bit of skill in all those different elements, and you're like, I don't really feel specialized in anything here.
That's one thing I wanted to get into, because for one, for me, my life is very like so like I want it like right in front of me. I need
Okay.
this, so I can just hurry up and do this, you know?
Yeah,
Because
you're
my
very
mind
much
is like literally
yeah.
like a ticking time clock.
Well, that's good. That's good. If some people have got to be like that.
Exactly, especially like in the industry that we're in, it's constantly changing and changing and changing. And like
Yeah, and do you find
all
that
over.
you're kind of like someone that's looking ahead all the time? You're like looking at in the future about things? Is that kind of how your brain's going? You're like 20 steps ahead in like looking at trends and things like that, and other people are like just over here.
Honestly, yeah, I find myself constantly looking forward, but also looking backwards, because trends tend to recycle.
Mm-hmm.
So like knowing like if like a certain like I guess trend is going this way, like what's going to be coming next, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there has been like peaks of like, 90s trends here, 2000s trends, or like, different trends. And honestly, I feel like now it seems like everyone is just into what they're into.
Yeah, it's very much blended, isn't it? It's not really
Yeah.
one thing anymore. That's for
Like
sure.
there's obviously like some things that brands and like certain things, or yeah, that like the consumer that they want to focus on. But like all in all, they're not going to wear that one specific trend every single day. They're going to want to just do it when they feel like it.
Yeah, it's like people aren't necessarily 70s every day. It's
Like
like,
I'm not gonna,
you
yeah.
might wear like a 70s pair of jeans one day, and then like the next day you're gonna mix it up with like an 80s kind of thing, and then it's
Yeah, they'll even wear like say like a 90s pair, like a 90s pant, and like or a cargo pant with like a really trendy girly top. Like that's something that I find really interesting, and I actually like that people are finding different ways to become creative within their fashion sense using all these trends.
Yeah, I think that's really what makes now so good, is that you can just mix it up and make it really personal.
Yeah,
It's not like,
exactly.
it's not a set, not that it was ever a set way, but there seemed to be like there was like a uniform within like kind of different eras that people would stick to.
And mind you, this is all my own personal like opinions.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a different one, but like from other things that I've looked at, the word trend shouldn't is kind of like an old dated term in a way, but it's difficult to describe things without using that word. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's kind of like everything's kind of meshed, and it's a personal style thing now more than anything. So going back to like your career, so once you graduated, what happened next? Where did that take you?
So that is where I honestly recommend anyone going to see like their counselor on campus or anyone, because they will definitely help you. Even like with the teachers on like campus, or honestly like even if you don't attend school, like they are open and willing to help you, which
it's
is
a really tough time.
Yeah. Because right now I don't even attend school anymore, but they're also like constantly sending me emails about like different like careers or different like jobs that are opening, and I really appreciate
that's really
that they still continue to do that. Yeah,
that's amazing. I don't think my university was doing that.
Yeah, and
no
so
names.
I actually I didn't go that route, unfortunately, because I was so burnt out from school that I just needed to take a break. You know, like although I love, what I do, but like I needed to take a break. So I needed to like kind of get my mind off of like those sleepless nights of like finishing projects and whatnot. So I took like maybe a couple months away from fashion, and
only a couple of months. I thought you were leading up to like a year. I was like, she's been out of fashion for like years.
Well, can't stay away from that long for that long.
So you took a break. Sorry.
Yeah. So and then trying to find a job within the field, which is okay. So I settled upon becoming a visual merchandiser because for one, I love talking to people. That's the thing
Mm-hmm.
I do, and like that's the thing you should do in retail. Talk to people, whatever, you know. And so, within visual merchandising, it actually kind of combined styling and set design
Mm-hmm.
as a steady job, you
Yeah.
know, because
Yeah.
with becoming a fashion stylist for like the stars, you have to literally like dedicate your time and your own money to really put your name out there, and a lot of the times it takes a while,
Yeah.
you
For
know?
anyone to know about you, to get those assistant positions.
Or
And
even
also
yeah,
like it
and
must be
even
like really long hours and traveling a lot.
yeah, and even like just seeing some type of steady income come from that. And
Yeah.
um I, with my school being a little on the pricier side, like I really needed to, and on top of the other bills that I had, I needed something that was a little more like steady and
Yeah.
like something that I can rely on in the
Mm-hmm.
time that I was, working on like my side projects, like a fashion styling project or
Yeah.
anything of that sort. So I, after those few months passed, I actually got a job at Macys as a visual merchandiser, and I really appreciate my time there because I did learn like the basics of it all
Yeah.
from, knowing, like really knowing like what trends our customer wants to see, because
Yeah.
every location is different. Like you want to always um be on trend, but also know who your demographic is.
Yeah.
So
The
that's one
specific
thing.
one, even
Yeah.
like within Macy's, you're gonna get a different one. I don't know, in San Francisco to the Bay Area, like within the Bay
Yeah.
Area, it's all gonna be different.
Yeah, exactly. And so with the Macy's that I worked at, it was kind of more in like the middle of, I guess you can say, like a mesh pot of like different people. So I guess you can say I could play around with different trends here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but the location that it was in was also more of the less trendy, because it was Macy's at the same time, and it was also near like a community college where all of the like foreign exchange students were, and like all of the like younger college kids, and they wanted to go shop, so you kind of
Mm.
really had to find like that middle of
Yeah.
like trying to get both customers to see what you're doing. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really
It's a
like,
tough market.
yeah, exactly. And even with like merchandising, aside from styling, you want to be able to know like how a certain product is going to sell depending on where you're going to put it,
Yeah.
you know? So just finding like that really, really good like middle for it all is something that's, I really applaud, people who can do it. I can do it. I know you can do it, Carrie, but like it's really, really, really hard to like really try to find that, or at least know like that knowledge of like how to put all that stuff together.
Keeping it in mind whilst being creative, whilst all the things you've got to juggle at the same
Hmm.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a tough thing to do on a daily basis. Um. So so you went to Macy's, and then what else have you been doing since Macy's, or like
Oh yeah.
to kind
So
of like what other things have you been up to?
so on the side, whenever like I have the time to, because like I said, work right now is like a full like 40-hour week, and then I still need to juggle in my time with like my family and my social life.
Mm,
So when I know that I'm able to, I do still have like side styling projects that I'm working on.
that's exciting.
Um, yeah, thank you. So it ranges from like just regular photo shoots to even music videos. Um, and they're with like local artists,
Yeah,
because
that's the
I
best
like,
way to start.
oh yeah, definitely. And I like to stay local, especially with like my regular 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so that's like some things that I do.
So how do you connect with the people for these projects? Is it like networking between like from friends and like connections you've made in the industry?
So the way I find like my clientele is through like networking, through friends. Um, I'm always like in constant contact with the people that I did go to school with, even like with personal family friends who like want to, you know, message me, tell me that they have a friend who needs this type of work and things like that. And it's just always like being open and like just putting yourself out there, really.
Okay, so you were talking about like being a visual artist and like you particularly liked like set design, did you say? Is that the right term? So like things like producing like a catwalk presentation or like an artwork presentation, is that kind of the things that you were what you mean when you say that, or is it like more like a music video set, that kind of art presentation?
Oh, all of the above, actually.
Okay, that's good.
So I was always, well, before I even knew that I was into fashion, I was also very, I guess you can say, artsy. I dabbled in like different like art styles, like painting and like drawing. And I was also very handy growing up. So I was a builder. I always helped around with like my grandpa and my dad with things that needed to be built. So that was like something that a skill that I had under my belt,
Yeah.
which I didn't think that I enjoyed until I went to school.
Okay.
So that was something that I really appreciated because like I already had that stuff under my belt, and here it is, me using that in a realm which that I love.
So you had like the practical skills, and then you were like, oh, and I can apply this to in a creative way.
Yeah, exactly. Like in like the career that I want to go for, I can actually do it instead of being like, oh, like a construction worker.
That creative house is going to be built.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just wait for it.
So your goals and aspirations changed, as you were talking about, from like before you went to do your course, and then since then, has anything changed in how you want to go forward in the future?
Honestly, no, I feel like right now I'm at a good spot in my career, and I personally, you know, not to bring anything up and, you know, that offends anybody, but I just feel like I'm where God needs me to be. And it's all in like my own time, you know?
Yeah, you
So
feel like a kind of at peace with like the balance you've got going on, like in terms of your work that you're doing 9 to 5. It's Nordstrom's, isn't it, at the moment?
yes. So I'm currently at Nordstrom. I was in, I guess you can say, a little bit of like a rut when I was working at Target. So I jumped from Macys into more of like a leadership visual role with Target. And with Target, they actually had just recently started their visual merchandising like role. Like just for, it's only been like around for a few years. So they're still like dabbling into like what really works for them with a visual merchandiser.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of where I like fell off, I guess you can say, because people who've been with Target for so long haven't been used, or they weren't used to what a visual merchandiser is and like
what
what
it
they
really means.
are supposed to do. You know, there are some Targets, I guess you can say, that have fully like grasped it, but like the one that I was at personally didn't really, I guess, respect like what I was capable of doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, with it, you know, I guess, you know, paying me a little bit more, I stuck around a little longer. And, you know, that's where I really, like, I realized that it's not, it's never about the money. Never about the money. And it's really where your happiness is, you know, and like, I started really just like looking wherever. Like I even like decided like somewhere along the line of me being at Target that I would rather sit like at an office job that would give me you know, a little more less stress, where I can actually focus on like some of the side projects that I can do. That was something that I was considering.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that a lot of people in the art creative do, and I know I did that at one point. You put something that isn't creative, you spend your time doing that for your kind of 9 to 5 or like a shorter week time, and then you can put the rest of your energy into your creative endeavors, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of people who do that too. But like the thing with me is I like to constantly like really challenge like my like creativity. So that's why like I this is me personally, like I would like to just continue to stay in a role like this where I can either apply what I learned at work into like the things that I do on the side, or like vice versa.
Yeah. So they kind of work together.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I'm just, content throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So in the Nordstrom role, how is that working in terms of like them allowing your creativity to shine or your merchandising skills to work better in this position?
Oh my gosh. So upon leaving Target into Nordstrom, I started actually back in January. So I've been with Target for quite a while, for like 3 years. I think 3 years. And I was just ready to leave. So jumping into Nordstrom, I was a little hesitant only because like, with me being at Target for so long and me being in that little like box and just like, in this little, I guess, I don't want to say that I was depressed or anything because that was a little too, I don't want to use that word,
You were kind of like, I think once you've been at one company for a while, your headspace is literally that kind of, that,
yeah,
they call it corporate culture, but like you're within that kind of culture. Your brain is like ruled by like what you can do, what you can't do. You know what the limitations are almost.
Yeah, and then deep down, you're kind of just like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, and it kind of like, and if you're bringing yourself, and if it brings you down, then it's really hard to like to get out of that headspace, and then to get to think how somewhere else could be different, and then also how are you gonna find that creativity again to apply to somewhere else, and like is it gonna be different?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm not gonna lie, it was really, really hard to find a job after Target. Like I was recommended by a friend to work at Nordstrom when the position was open, which I am very, very thankful for. But honestly, it was like, it was hard trying to find a role because all those positions are filled and people who are in the positions love what they do.
They're not gonna leave.
Exactly. So I'm just like, hurry up. But yeah, so I was recommended by a friend who I've worked with for a while. He's a colleague of mine. And he told me about Nordstrom, and I was instantly hooked, no matter like how like far of a distance that it was compared to like my commute from my house to Target. I was ready and willing because he told me about how much he loved it and how much they're giving him like creatively to do whatever he wants in there. Obviously not whatever he wants, but within like
it was creative freedom or more of it.
Yes, exactly. So I I jumped on it, and here I am. I mean, I'm in quarantine now, but like whenever it's time for me to go back, I'm ready to go back.
Are you managing to find any time, like, well, you've got tons of time, but like, are you managing to do any creativity while you're in quarantine?
Yes, actually. So while I was at work, when I was while I was at work, we were doing windows and styling and things of that sort. And like, I found that the windows that we were creating were very, very easy to make. So I decided to do the same thing. It's at the beginning stages right now, but like, they're just, little decor here and there that I can pop within my house that I found to be like really easy to make. And that's something that I'm currently doing on top of actually teaching myself how to sew.
Cool.
So, I have all the time in the world to do a lot of things right now.
I'm going to be calling you to make stuff.
Well, with you being busy with, this right now, like, I got you, of course.
So, I'm just, your thing that you're doing with the, kind of like the visual, like window dressing stuff sounds really interesting. And I'd be really interested to see, like, you could do some really cool set things and put them like on Instagram and stuff, like as like kind of example, like be really creative and do some like cool sets in your home. Like if you had like a wall, you could create into like something really. I'm excited. I don't know. My mind is gone like.
Oh no, definitely. Like I'll even send you some of the pictures that we've done like in our windows that you can probably show like the viewers. But yeah, if they want to see on any of that stuff, I'll send them over.
Yeah, it sounds
But
like
yeah, like it's
you've
really
been
fun to
inspired.
do. I guess going back to that question when you're asking me like where I apply my skills, but yeah, I apply it at home, you know, when I want to, I guess, you know, spruce it up here and there, make everything all lively, you know, seasonal. And I've done runways, I've done music video sets as well as just regular photo shoot sets in terms of like set designs.
What's then been any challenges with any of those kind of things have you found?
I guess some of the challenges that I've come across in terms of like, you know, working with clientele is I guess just being able to see eye to eye,
Mm,
you know, because
yeah.
that's what I'm all about, especially with my clientele. Is like I'd like them to see the creative aspect of it, but sometimes they are very like, you know, one-sided on the things that they want, but you know, you have to work with what they want, of course, because that's who's
Yeah,
giving you.
the money.
Yeah.
I think it's that balance of like trying to tell them what the vision is and them seeing that vision as well, but like you being able to incorporate their vision into your vision and everyone seeing the same thing, or being able to convince them that your vision is going to work for what they want, and they've got to just like put the hold on their anxiety a hold on that, and then and believe in that you can achieve what they're looking for.
Yeah, and that's the thing though, because you know, since they're the ones who are hiring you to do what they want, you also have to just like try to see what they're saying. That's the thing, like try to see what their vision is, because sometimes they don't have a clear vision.
Well, yeah, because that's why they're employing you as well, is because you're
Yeah.
the creative and they're probably not, and so that it's kind of like that meeting of like how you can meet in the middle of like combining the two.
Because they'll say like, I want this, but then they don't know like what they want, like in between like creating that vision, or like what is going to be like the little like details in creating that, you know. So there are a lot of questions that I have to ask in order to really get like an understanding of what they want. And then sometimes they're just like, wow, like I don't really know. So then that's when you start throwing ideas at them.
Do you find any kind of practical challenges come up, like in terms of like actually achieving the things that say you're doing a visual set for? Do you find like it's hard to get the manpower to like do it, you know, because you can't do everything yourself necessarily? Or do you find that kind of, you know, what kind of things come up that you find a challenge in that?
Yeah, finding the manpower, because as of now I am a one woman show, and whenever, you know, people are available to help, that's when they'll help. So it's all about availability and accountability. That's something that I look for in a team when I am working on these types of things.
Do you know, I mean, because in London, I know of a couple of websites that you basically, so when I've done photo shoots and done fashion shows in London and like surrounding areas, you kind of, there's some websites where you can like collaborate and like put things up and then people join together and stuff. Is that the same around here, like in San Francisco area?
Oh yeah. So
And
there
is that
are
kind of how you find people?
yeah, so that's how I found a couple of people, but that's also how I've helped a couple of people join their modeling like agency. So because of like the certain shoots that I've done, it helped bump their career.
Yeah.
Which is really nice to know that like what I'm doing is helping other people, and like, you know, knowing that eventually down the line that I know that they'll help me along the way too.
Yeah, it's all kind of a circular thing, and I think that really puts a kind of, I'm going to say, nail in the coffin of the fact that like a lot of people view fashion in a kind of very, like, that it might be quite a bitchy industry. I mean, I know we're not talking fashion specifically for you, but like a lot of the things you do are orientated around fashion.
Yeah.
And like people view it, fashion can be, I mean, it is competitive, don't get me wrong, and I know you know that, but like it's also like quite everyone helps each other, because you're gonna like, if one person goes up, then the other person will probably be going up as well. So it's kind of like a team effort.
Yeah, honestly, fashion isn't as bitchy as a lot of people think it is. A lot of people that I collaborate with, a lot of people that I work with are the sweetest people that I know, and I still communicate with them like to this day.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've been in touch with a lot of people from your course still?
Yeah. There are a lot of them I consider like my best friends.
One question I didn't ask you beforehand is, if you had to give yourself some advice, like past you, is there something that you would give past you advice? What would you say?
I would probably tell my past self to always keep sight of the things that you love to do, because
Okay.
that's something that I've always done, but along the way I lost like sight of,
Mhm.
for sure. Because coming from a culture that um wants, like, for example, like, you know, parents in like Asian cultures, even like just a lot of cultures in general, but like mine specifically, I'm just talking about like my family.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, they have high expectations for what your career should be, whether
yeah,
it be in the medical field or like something along that sort, because it will bring in good money, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And
I think
like,
I
I
think a
get it.
lot of cultures have that kind of
Yeah. And I
attitude.
understand that, because like my family, my parents, and like you know, their parents have worked so hard to get us where, you know, we need to be in terms of like following our dreams and like, you know, being, I guess, in a more free culture compared to where they were, you know, back home.
Yeah, and they want you to be successful and
Mhm.
be have and the kind of success in specific in money rich industries is
Yeah.
maybe viewed as better and will make you happier and successful.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, when they watch like TV or when they watch like shows and stuff like that, they see that like, or, you know, or their friends who are making all this money because of their profession, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, you know, that's what they want. That's what they envision their kids doing.
yeah.
And, you know, that's something that I didn't want to do personally. And
Okay.
I thank, you know, my dad for always pushing me to do what I want, no matter what it is. Sorry.
Mm,
You know, it took a little bit of like convincing for my mom to see, you know,
yeah,
how happy I was doing what I do.
that's yeah, that's understandable. But like once they see,
Exactly. Once
there's
they see that like you're happy doing what you do, then like they can't help but be happy for you. But at first it was a little bit of like it was a little rocky.
yeah,
Uh
I'm pretty sure that other people can relate.
yeah. So, you know, telling myself that like money isn't always going to be like the center of your happiness, and just
Mm,
doing what you want to do, because like that's where I lost sight into jumping into Target, because I was making almost minimum wage at Macy's, and like, you know, doing all the things that I could get hurt for, you know, being on like such tall ladders and painting and building and doing this and that for just minimum wage wasn't really like cutting it for me, at least. So I was like, okay, like what can I do, because my bills are, you know, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and so I don't want to do that anymore. And that's where I saw like, you know, Target was hiring for visuals, and that's where I kind of made my mistake, you know.
okay.
Even though I wanted to help the company grow, you know, in their visual merchandising role, because it was so new, it was just so hard to get the people who are so seasoned in Target to follow in that footstep, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So in that respect, what would you have done instead? What should
Sometimes I
would you
regret
have
even leaving Macy's, but like, you know, just
would
um
anything have changed though? I don't think anything would have made it been any different, surely. And Macy's is not doing that well at the moment.
they're not.
Spoiler alert.
They're not, but it was fun to work there. It was really fun to work there, definitely. Um, but I mean, as of right now, I can't really say that I regret going there, because I feel like it taught me like a lot of things in terms of like really what I love doing and like who I am as a person, for sure. And
It
what I
kind
can
of
help.
maybe what you've done in university or college, or I don't know
Yeah,
how you describe those places.
basically. No, basically. Um, but it pretty much like brought me back to like where, you know, it gave me like more of like, I guess, an epiphany of like, you know, how I started and like really what I want to do moving forward, you know,
That's
because
good.
I knew somewhere along the line that I wasn't going to be at Target for that long. You know, I was excited, you know, for the pay. You know, that sounds very like superficial, but like,
No,
you know,
I don't think it does.
it was stressful. So,
Yeah,
you know, moving into a position that was pretty much like Macy's, but like way, I love Nordstrom right now.
good.
You know, the career that I'm in, I love working at Nordstrom, and it's what I personally love about it right now is that they give you the opportunity to use your skills in, you know, styling trends as well as, you know, your practical skills, and just do you know, you know your
Yeah.
customer, you know, like what you know, what they like, just work around them, but, you know, no holding back, just do it.
You've got a
Yeah.
lot of experience in it, and like, so if somebody was like, oh, I'm considering being a visual merchandiser as one of the career options, like how would they know?
I think depending on where you are, because there are different routes you for sure can take. I took the, you know, going to school route because it gives you more credentials,
Yeah.
because it is hard finding a job in visual merchandising, because they're, you know, just like a lot of jobs, you know, they require this amount of time, this and that, you know, unless you can prove otherwise that you have the skill to do it, you know, they want to see on paper that like you've actually done it. So I would recommend going to school for it, definitely. And also because they have the resources to get you that job, like when you're
Okay.
done with school,
They
you
have the
know, that
connections.
exactly. And you can definitely go through that and find even maybe an even better job than I'm at right now, you know? So it's all about using like your resources for sure. But like if school isn't a route for everybody, which I know it's not, you can just work your way up. Find a company that will, you know, accept you.
Maybe
Because I
as
know,
an assistant or something.
yeah, you can even start off as an associate and like show interest in being a visual, and you know, whenever that opportunity comes up, you know, the role, at least they'll know that like you've trained with someone in the store that you know, you've showed interest to, or
Yeah.
you know, things like that. Because the colleague of mine that actually got me the job at Nordstrom didn't go to fashion school.
Okay.
He didn't actually go to college, like, you know, not to, I'm not throwing him under the bus, but school wasn't his thing, you
No,
know?
I mean, this is the thing that I always say is like school isn't for everyone. And I
Come on.
really, I don't want to be the person that tells everyone not to go to school, but I feel like I am. I'm like, don't go to school if because everyone's like, you finish like regular high school and then you go to college and then you go to university in the UK. So everyone feels this pressure to do that route. As you know, like, but there's so many other options out there. There are actually courses and schools that specialize in like things that are more practical. So you could do a course, but it'd be a more practical course rather than all the kind of like theoretical things. And that's before you even go to kind of like degree level. So like, I don't want people to feel like that is the only way to go, because there are so many different ways of getting your career on the move rather than
Yeah,
just
exactly. Like even with being like a fashion stylist, you don't really need the credentials from school to do that, as long as you want to actually put the work in for it, you
yeah,
know?
you could do like work on a portfolio outside of that realm.
'Cause I was never a school person at all, even in high school. Like I just never found biology or any of that stuff to be interesting whatsoever, because I knew I didn't want to incorporate any of that into my career, you know? Um,
You knew
but
what your strengths were already, maybe.
yeah, basically that was exactly it and what I was interested in doing. And like, you know, fashion is like, you know, finding its way into like different things like science and technology and whatnot, you know, but
Yeah,
like, you know, back then I knew I didn't want like a career that was solely just that, you
yeah,
know, like
yeah,
I wanted to be in something more creative rather than like something more like practical, or like, you know, but I'm not knocking any of those other professions, but it just wasn't for me. So like when I found out that there was like, schools for fashion, because going to college or university after like high school and things like that, like was something that like my parents for sure wanted me to do. So,
Yeah.
If that's what was going to make them happy, regardless of like what courses I was taking, then sure, I'll do it. And then I found
It's a good
out,
compromise.
yeah, exactly. And then I ended up finding out that I loved going to school for the things that I wanted to learn about,
That's good. That's really interesting, because that's a different way of looking at it. It kind of like, once you found that thing that you really enjoy, then school probably becomes a
It was
lot
a
more
breeze. It was fun.
enjoyable.
It was
Yeah.
fun. Like I appreciate the long sleepless nights, even though I took a break from it after.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it just depends on like, who you are as a person and what you can tolerate, like whether it be school or if you just want to go like head first for it, like then go ahead and do it. Because there are like some roles that you should look for, definitely. Like do your research for sure. Do your research on the company that you're applying for, because there are some companies that will require you to have a few years under your belt, but there are also some that only require like having some type of art under your belt and a high school diploma. And that one for sure was Macys. And like that colleague of mine started at Macys because of his art background. He proved that he can do things, in a creative way.
Yeah.
While also having some type of like diploma, a high school diploma, which was their requirement. So, and then that's where he built like his skills in visual merchandising. And then now that, he has all those years under his belt, he can go wherever he wants.
Yeah. So he can demonstrate that he's got those skills. And if somebody else could do that, then that would probably help them a lot.
Yeah. It's all about like willingness for sure. Willingness, perseverance, and like, what you're.
Yeah. Did you, when you finished your course, I know you took a break, but did the course give you a vision for what you wanted to do as a career afterwards? Like, because I know you're happy where you are and what you're doing at the moment, and you're probably going to continue doing all your side projects, and maybe that will grow bigger than your main 9 to 5. But like, would you say this matches what you envisaged, like when you were at college, or did you not have any kind of vision for how things would turn out?
I think that's another reason why I took a break. Like I knew that where I am currently was where I was going to be for sure, like a little later along the line. But
That's
like
great.
really thinking about like, how much, I am willing to, put into in terms of that. So that was kind of like me thinking about like what steps to take next in where my direction, or like what direction I want to take.
Yeah, because
so that
there's so many different options you could have.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was given like options to do like my bachelor's in set design. I was given the option to do my bachelor's in like business management, and to be honest, I didn't take any of them because, well, school's expensive.
Yeah.
And so, like, even without that degree, like I know I can push myself to get, where I want to be, like regardless of that little, line on my resume.
Yeah, which people,
in my background.
I'm going to be honest, don't even look at. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the employers that I've spoken to only look at like your job experience. Sometimes they disregard school. They'll just be like, "Oh, you did this, cool,"
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just that idea that like, oh, they did it, but like other than that, they're just like, but what really can you do?
Yeah, exactly. What's your practical experience? What have you achieved?
Yeah, what really can you offer in order for you to?
Well, because I wonder if people, when they see bachelor's or MA, like further along lines, what does it even mean? Like, what have you actually done? Like, what does like like, because if they haven't experienced that course, how would they know what you've actually done on that course?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's where like the years of experience and like, your willingness comes in. Whether it be like, say you haven't done visual merchandising at all, but you do styling projects on the side and you are, proven to be very good at it. You know, that's
Yeah.
something that you can show because you have styling under your belt. And then knowing, saying how willing you are to learn is one thing too, because if you don't know how to do merchandising, like how else are you going to do the position? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just, this industry, any industry really, is just always constantly moving, and you always need to be ready to learn something new. And just showing that that's, something that you are interested in is
Yeah.
really good.
Well, thank you, Lex.
Oh,
It's been really nice chatting with you
I
today.
know. It was great being here.